PNP, Fantasy Fam, what's up, man? This is Dave. It's time for week 3 to go over what happened and to start giving some advice on how to handle the waiver wire. Most of the waivers go through tomorrow, so you got to put your moves in tonight. So my big thing that I've come out of this situation is if you drafted Ezekiel Elliott in the first round, you need to start preparing that you might only get RB2 numbers from him. That's the first thing that I thought about this week. The timeshare in Dallas is real. I think we need to start preparing as such. And the irony of that is Tony Pollard is available in a lot of leagues. And Tony Pollard currently is giving RB2 vibes. So you need to go ahead, if he's available, you need to go ahead and focus on trying to get Tony Pollard. And I think I'm willing to spend a decent chunk of your free agent budget to go get him, because it looks like that split is serious. Like, it looks very serious. To put it in perspective, Pollard right now, he has 16 carries for 123 yards, averages 7.7 yards a carry. Zeke has 27 carries for 104 yards for 3.9 yards a carry. If Zeke doesn't improve on that yards per carry, he might lose more carries to Pollard. And when it comes to the passing game, Pollard has 7 catches for 60. Zeke has 4 catches for 32. And then on top of that, they both have a touchdown. So right now, Pollard has more points than Zeke in fantasy right now. So from that standpoint, you have to start thinking about Tony Pollard as a potential RB2. And there could be scenarios where you could play both Zeke and Pollard every week. And if one of them goes down, then the other one should be able to feast. But it looks like they're doing some. It looks like Mike McCarthy is doing some level of a timeshare, which kind of sucks in the grand scheme of things. I'm not too thrilled about that, but it is what it is. Like, I have Zeke in a league. He fell down to like 9, so I was willing to take a chance on him there. But, and I've been successful for the most part so far because of the value that I got of him. But right now, it's looking like he's going to end up being an RB2. From the standpoint of the Carolina Panthers defense, since we're talking about it right now, it's available in about 85% of leagues. Unfortunately, it's not available in most of the leagues that I'm in, because I'm in the league with a bunch of Panthers fans. But for a typical league, the odds are pretty high that Panthers defense is available. So, and Panthers defense has shown me enough that is a weekly defense. Typically, I always say, and I always talk about it when we go through the fantasy review, and my Patreon subscribers know this. Typically, a bottom 10 defense the previous year ends up being a top 5 defense the next year. And it looks like Carolina's fitting that bill. But yeah, no problem, man. I mean, starting 0-2 is rough. I mean, I'm 0-2 in one of my leagues. I mean, I'm in like 7 leagues, and I'm 0-2 in one. I mean, I'm in 2-0 in a couple, and I'm in 1-1 in a couple, but I'm 0-2 in one of them. And the one that I'm 0-2 in is a 14-teamer. So it's gonna be an uphill battle, but it's fine. I don't give up when it comes to that. I just, I've started the season 1-5 and made the playoffs. I started the season 1-4 and made the playoffs. So it's not over yet. I mean, you're not mathematically out. You just got to take some time. Yeah, in one of my leagues, I have Aaron Rodgers. So I lost week 1. And then in this league too, the quarterback in the league that I have Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, you get 2 points for every 25 yards thrown. So like, a lot of folks were mad about Aaron Rodgers getting 1 point. In this league, he ended up getting 5 that week. But Matthew Stafford got 40, to give it a perspective, right? And I lost by 10 points. Or 15 points or something like that. So if, I just needed 20 from him. And 20 is a bad day typically, but not 5. So from that standpoint, there's no reason to give up. And then to this week, I was down 35 going into Monday night, and Rodgers came through. So, you just can't panic. I mean, Kamara, you got to play Kamara. I mean, Panthers defense is freaking outstanding. But going back to just circle my wagon on the Panthers defense is the every week defense now. So if they're available in your league, I would argue probably the top 3 at least, maybe top pickup you need to get, because I think they're going to be good enough this year to be consistently giving you double-digit points every week. and for a defense that's powerful. That's a distinct advantage every week. They're right now, currently, they are the number one defense in fantasy football. They're the number one defense in the NFL, and they're the number one defense in fantasy football. So I suggest to you, if they're available in your league, and most likely, if you're not in a league with a bunch of Panthers fans, they are available, go get them. Just go get them. Simple as that. All right. Let's see here. Need a TE, who shall I look for? Hunter Henry is available if he's available. I think that's my top pickup this week. If he's available, because a lot of folks were focusing on Jonnu Smith. So if you need a tight end, I would roll with Hunter Henry. So that's an option. Everybody else is going to be TD dependent, so it's going to be a crapshoot like Jawan Johnson. I mean, Firster's hurt. So you're not going to – your options are kind of limited when it comes to the tight end position in regards to that. All right, let's see here, man. So back to other things from this week that I've noticed. I'll get into my top QB pickup, but I want to talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. From a production standpoint, I can understand the reason for panic, but the volume standpoint, I'm not ready to lay down yet. I just think you just have to lower your expectations for him. It hasn't gotten to the point where Andy Reid's decided that they're not going to get that man to work. So as long as they continue to give that man to work, you kind of got to keep starting him, and he'll break through. Just got to be patient. That's all you can do with CEH. Let's see here. I'm going to get to wide receivers, man. There's a few out there in these streets that we can get into, and we'll go into some of the leagues that I'm in to see what's available in like a typical league that I'm into. But to answer this question real quick, your wide receiver that you can look into would be Rondale Moore from Arizona. If your league is really deep, you can think about KJ Osborne from Minnesota. But KJ Osborne is going to be a temporary type of situation because I think once Irv Smith Jr. comes back, that's going to eat into his work because the cream of the crop from a running back standpoint is from a wide receiver standpoint from Minnesota is Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. So right now, KJ Osborne is third in that list. So if you really need one, that would be one you can go after. But if Rondale Moore is available in your league, and he might still be, you should try to go after him. All right. Should I drop Washington D or Colts D for the Panthers? First of all, you don't need two defenses. And if you're going to maybe pick out of those two, you drop the Colts defense. I would argue if you get the Panthers defense, you can just drop both of them. So go after Panthers defense and drop one of them, and then go after the next player that you want on that waiver and get that guy. Get two defense, try to get one of those. If you think you're higher up in the waiver list to get the Panthers defense, then go for it. And I'm gonna give you a little. I'm gonna give you a suggestion. If you're 2-0, this is just advice. If you're 2-0 and you're not liking how your defense is looking, and Panthers defense is available, make that your top waiver wire pick. Because everybody else is going to be focused on running backs, wide receivers. So make that your top waiver wire pick, and the odds are high you'll probably get them. Now, there might be somebody that does do it, but that's just a suggestion. Yeah, I like Zach Pascal as well. I mean, he's on my list too. I prefer Rondale Moore, but I'll probably have it'll be more Pascal and then Osborne. I mean, you can pick him up, but it's all about who you're dropping to get him because I'm worried about the injury status. With regards to the Browns receivers right now, other than OBJ and Landry's going to be out a bit, and OBJ's still hurt, I don't trust anybody else. So don't try to chase the Browns wide receiver situation. And I would stay away from Baker Mayfield too. Let's see. Streaming QB. Daniel Jones can't play himself. Who are the Giants playing? Because I don't know who the Giants are playing. IR, is it full season IR or just 3-week IR? There's a difference. The Giants are playing the Falcons. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one to stream, depending on what your options are. Yeah, I would trade Fields. Why wouldn't you trade Fields? I question folks who drafted Fields unless it was dynasty. To be honest with you, we all knew that Dalton was starting. I think they want Fields to sit as long as possible. If he's available in one of your leagues, you need to go get him. I don't understand how he's available. He's the top wide receiver. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I could still call him the top guy. I mean, Sammy Watkins isn't there, but I can still call him the top guy. I was going to talk about this. I guess I'll talk about it now. I have no interest in any of the San Francisco running backs. A few months ago, prior to the season starting, I had the 49ers on my list as the running backs to avoid. And this is part of the reason right here. There's too many of them. If it's just 3 games, I would just sit them. I wouldn't drop them for 3 games. No. Keep Devontae Parker. All right, let me see. I talked about the 49ers running backs. The same thing I said about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it pretty much stays the same for Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's still getting to work. He just isn't executing right now. I'm not panicking about him quite yet. I already talked about staying away from the 49ers running backs. Do not mess around with the Browns wide receivers. Marquez Callaway is borderline droppable. If you have the patience, keep him around. I don't think I can start him at this point. I know the Saints went up against a vaunted Panthers defense this week, but I just do not trust Callaway at this point. And now that we're almost halfway through the experiment of him without, because remember, the Saints have a bye in week 6. After the Saints bye, Michael Thomas is returning. So in essence, Callaway has 3 more games of being the guy. And he's shown that he's not the guy. So he's pretty much droppable. He's borderline droppable, depending on the situation. Low in flex status for James Robinson, man. Urban Meyer loves Carlos Hyde. So let's talk about some pickups that you can go after. I mean, we went over the wide receivers a bit. Rondale Moore, Zach Pascal, KJ Osborne, but let's talk about the quarterback position. And I know you guys feel a certain type of way when I talk about this individual, but Teddy Bridgewater has gotten 20 fantasy points in both games this year so far. He's got the second highest QBR in the NFL right now, total QBR in the NFL right now. I wonder if you guys can guess who's number 1. That'll be hilarious. So I just want you guys to understand that, like right now, if you need a quarterback, I know somebody asked about Daniel Jones. I would prefer Teddy Bridgewater over Daniel Jones this week. Teddy Bridgewater is going up against the New York Jets. So that's a better matchup for him versus Daniel Jones versus the Giants. So that's how I feel about that from a quarterback standpoint. I mean, Bridgewater's available in a lot of leagues, guys. He's available in a lot of leagues. I know how folks feel about him. I'm about to pull up. Let me see here. Let me pull up what the ranking looked like for Mr. Bridgewater as a whole. Let's see. Players. Bear with me for a second. All quarterback fantasy points. I mean, right now, Teddy Bridgewater is ranked. He is the 11th best quarterback in fantasy based on fantasy points. You know what? I should pull this up for you guys so you can understand like how you can't really. It's interesting when you look at who's at the top of the heap. Like the top 3 are not shocking, but after that it gets interesting. So let me go ahead and put it up for the people. Let's see. Yeah, I would absolutely. Yeah, I like Michael Pittman over Callaway at this point. I like Callaway. I like Pittman over Callaway at this point. All right, can you guys see this? Or is it too small? I could blow it up a little bit. All right, so is this the type? These are the I'm gonna bring it back one more. These are the top 11 players in fantasy right now. Kyler 1, Mahomes in quarterback. Kyler 1, Patrick. This is standard scoring, by the way. Kyler 1, Mahomes 2, Brady 3, Daniel Jones 4. So maybe it would be Jones over Bridgewater this week against Atlanta. He's been balling. Hurts 5, Russ 6, Jackson 7, Derek Carr 8, Jared Goff 9, Kirk Cousins 10, Bridgewater 11. Stafford 12, Tyrod, he's out, but he was doing well. He was 13. Jameis, as bad as he was still the fourth. He's 14. But you got to remember, he had that horrific game against us. Sam Darnold's 15, Wentz is 16, but he's going to be out a bit. Dak has been disappointing, man, 17. Jimmy G, 18. Josh Allen, 19. Taylor, 20. And then, after that, Aaron Rodgers making up for lost time, but he bounced back pretty well this week. So, let me pull up running backs real quick. Usual suspects in the top 5, but this one here, Deandre Swift at 6. Interesting indeed. Mixon, Henderson, Patterson, Cordell Patterson. That's another guy you can pick up at running back if he's available. He's getting enough love in Atlanta, especially since they're behind. He's getting more love in a receiving game, so he could be potentially a RB2 or a flex play even after. So if he's available in leagues, you should go after him for sure. Jamal Williams, I told you about Pollard. Pollard's ranked higher. James White. So, most of these guys are probably gone, but you never know in the waiver wire pool, man. They could be out there. Baker, Teddy, those are some good options right now, believe it or not. So at that point, you can go based on matchup. So it's going to pretty much be Bridgewater versus Daniel Jones. I wouldn't touch Baker Mayfield. I wouldn't touch Baker Mayfield with a 10-foot pole right now. Baker has no receivers, and he's been underperforming when he had them. So I wouldn't touch Baker Mayfield at all. If you want to go based off stats, then, Daniel Jones will probably be the answer. But Bridgewater, I think Bridgewater is a better option long-term, depending on what you need. If you just need a streamer, you can't go wrong with either Daniel Jones or Teddy Bridgewater. Baker's schedule doesn't mean jack if he doesn't have receivers to throw to, bro. I think they're going to leverage on the running backs. They got 2 really good running backs in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, so I think they're going to leverage on them. I'm actually, I got some bets in on underdog fantasy, so I'm actually rooting for yards more than touchdowns. I could see him getting 3, but he doesn't need to. I think our defense is gonna show out. The number 1 wide receiver in fantasy, guys, Cooper Kupp. Oh yeah, I do have a note about that. Kupp better than Woods. I did put that down. Cooper Kupp, number 1 wide receiver in fantasy. Tyler Lockett's number 2, Deebo Samuel number 3, Thielen's 4, Amari Cooper's 5. Yeah, you can ask yourself where all these folks were drafted. I'll give you a clue. None of them were drafted in the first round. And I wouldn't be shocked, man. Mike Williams might be available in some leagues, but it'd probably be minimal. Even Sterling Shepard's up in this list, man. But there's our boy KJ Osborne. He balled on Sunday, man. Quintez Cephas. No Jets wide receivers, please. But yeah. I asked for tight end. This is about to be the who's who. Jawan John. My beef with Jawan is that he's very TD dependent. Very TD dependent. Very TD dependent. Yeah, I talked about Callaway earlier, man. I think he's droppable at this point. He's borderline. Ayuk, I think you got to be patient with him. I just wouldn't start him. You got to wait till his target share goes up. If Mike Williams is available in your league, you need to go get him. Forget everybody I just named. If Mike Williams is available in your league, you need to go get him. Number 1 wide receiver in fantasy right now based on the numbers, bro. Jack Doyle's interesting. If you really are desperate, Dawson Knox is interesting too. But after that, it gets kind of ugly. You see these names up here, bro. These ain't world beaters. So this is what you're working with. That's what you're working with. If you got Kupp and Williams on the team, you're doing good because they're both top 5 wide receivers right now in fantasy. So let me check the Patreon to see if we got any questions up in these streets. All right, nothing so far. Should I trade Debo or Brandon Cooks if I have Lamb, Devontae, and Cup? I mean, you do have bye weeks. and the thing is, if you're going to trade your sloppy seconds, you need to ask yourself, if you need help at the running back position, why don't you trade Lamb, Devontae, or Cup to try to fix your running back problem? I would argue, Brandon Cooks has been pretty much at a wide receiver 2. He's been doing all right at wide receiver 2 numbers. I don't think the quarterback situation in Houston is going to affect them as much as people think it will. It's going to affect them this week because you're playing against Carolina, but after this week, I think it's going to be okay. Where's Brandon Cooks ranked? Where is he? There he is. He's the 11th best wide receiver in fantasy right now. So he's got more points than Cup. By the way, just for reference for you, Eddie. So Brandon Cooks is 11th. CeeDee Lamb is 12th. Brandon Cooks is 11th. CeeDee Lamb is 12th. And your other guy, no, CeeDee Lamb is not 12th. Did I say that right? No, Cooks is 11th. Lamb is 12th. Where's Devontae Adams? Devontae Adams all the way down here somewhere. Yeah. Devontae Adams is 27th, but there's no reason to panic about that because he had game 1, Roger Sub. You know that. If you can do it, I would do it. I would try because you can at least play. You can play Debo. I wouldn't, or you could trade Debo. Debo right now is the number 3 wide receiver in fantasy, so you could trade Debo if you want. I would try it. Like sometimes you got to leverage your momentum. Now, Cup at the end of the season could end up being the number 1 fantasy wide receiver. And then it might cost you, but if you give up your number 1 wide receiver and you fix your running back situation long term, especially if your situation is rough, why not? No, I would keep Cup there. Zeke, I talked about it before you got in, Slim. Zeke's in a timeshare right now, and I don't think it's going away. I really don't think it's going away. It's my opinion on it. I just don't think it's going away. I'm going down the line to make sure I hit all my talking points, and I think I did. Yeah, I did. So yeah, absolutely. Just throw the questions at me, man. Well, you got Najee and Swift, but bro, like Swift is a top 10 running back in fantasy right now. Swift is 7th. And Najee has been disappointing, but Najee's 22, so that's RB2. That ain't bad. I wouldn't complain yet, depending on what you try to do. Najee is down, as in Najee's hurt. They're going to have to lean on Najee more with Najee ain't hurt. They're going to lean him more with Big Ben. So what did he do? He's getting the volume. He got 15 touches last week. So he's getting the work. So that ain't the issue. If you want to talk about a low-end RB1, Eckler, Joe Mixon. Henderson I'm worried about because he's hurt. He might not play this week, which reminds me, I talked about it the other week. If folks drop Sony Michel, you need to go after him. I told you guys that folks might drop Michel, and I know he's been dropped in some leagues. Would it be a bad trade to use one wide receivers for a TE? The only receiver, if you're going to trade somebody like one of your high-end wide receivers to go get a tight end, there's only 2 wide receivers. There's only 2 tight ends I want. One's first name is Travis. The other first name is Darren. I don't know if I want to trust Kittle quite yet. And that's just right. I don't think Kittle has that level of value. Because right now Kittle is ranked. Kittle is ranked 12th. So you might not have to give up as much. I would trade Cooks for Kittle. I'll take that risk. I don't know if I want to trade the others for Kittle. I think you'll lose on that end of the deal. Who's your tight end now? Is it official that Big Ben's out? Because I don't know if it is yet. They just said he had a pec injury. They didn't say he was going to be out. So, Eddie, tell me what your tight end situation is like, man. Who's your tight end currently? Because if you tell me somebody like Noah Fant, I'm going to tell you can probably just sit where you're at. Because unless you got Kelsey so who's your tight end currently? Oh, yeah, you need one. Yeah, you need one, bro. Yeah, you probably need to do something about that. Check and see if Hunter Henry's available. Nah, man, I ain't talking about Will Fuller, but if Tua's out, we got a bigger problem. I mean, Will Fuller ain't nothing without somebody with a cannon, and it's looking like Tua's not going to play this week for sure. So, I mean, Kittle ain't that good. Kittle right now is 12th in fantasy. That ain't ass. That's low end tight end 1 numbers. Like that's at the bottom of the tight end 1 range. But I talked about this. I talked about this in my previous show. There's Kelsey, there's Waller, there's everybody, there's Hawkinson and some other folks, and then it's the belly. So hold on, I'll pull up the tight end rankings real quick for you guys. Do that right now. Actually, I'll do it this way. So here's your top ones, man. Kelsey's 1. And it's funny because Waller had a rough day in the office. Where's Waller? There he is. Okay. Kelsey 1, Gronk 2, Hawkinson 3, Waller 4, Fant 5, Thomas 6, Jawan Johnson 7. Who drafted him, right? Kyle Pitts 8, Goddard 9, Doyle 10, Knox 11, Kittle 12, Tanyan 13, Jonnu 14, Cook 15, Max Williams 16, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews was in most leagues was the 4th tight end taken, maybe 5th. And he is ranked 17th. So yeah, Albert O, that 2nd tight end that they have in Denver's not too far from Mark Andrews. You drafted one within the first 6 rounds, and the other one is available on waivers. See why I feel how I feel about tight ends? Where is Tyler Higbee? There he is. That's good for 23rd. But the thing is, unless you got one of these, unless you got this guy here, crapshoot. Those 2 guys are the ones that are going to give it to you consistently. Gronk might climb there because of Brady, but even then it's still hard because there's so many weapons in Tampa Bay. Now, Hawkinson might climb because he's the only weapon in Detroit. So if you want to go after Hawkinson, might not be a bad idea. Let me go check and make sure I got these questions. Yes. Drop any defense you have for the Panthers defense. I think they're going to end up being the top 1 in fantasy this year. Like I said, man, I don't trust Will Fuller without Tua. Not a bad idea. Stay away from 49ers running backs. The thing about Michael Carter, though, is you're going to have to wait a bit. But I think there's a better path to him getting the work over Elijah long term. I got 3 Packers: Rodgers, Jones, Adams. Should I trade someone because I'm too reliant on the Packers? No, you don't have to. I mean, because if you with that attitude, that means you're not going to get a fair deal. So I don't think you have to. I just think you need to consider your options and go from there. Like I don't think you need to. You probably, well, if you get a fair deal, I would do it. But I think the guy that I would trade, if you're trying to get a haul, look at your team and figure out what your weakness is, and maybe you leverage Aaron Jones to try to fix it. Leverage one of your guys to try to build on one of your weaknesses. Let's see. Cephas is going to get targets. I mean, if you want to grab him in waivers, you can. But, you know, it's still Detroit, bro. Wilson or Murray? Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray? If you have that problem, man, you need to trade him. But the answer is Kyler Murray. Cortland Sutton or Mike Evans this week? All right, I got to – Denver's playing the Jets. I don't know. I can't remember who Tampa's playing. Let me see. I don't remember who Tampa's playing. Tampa is playing the Rams. Ooh. That's a pretty tough defense, but it could be a shootout. I'm going Evans, but it's close. And by Saturday, I'll probably change back to Sutton. My only concern about Sutton is that I think he's going to get the work, but I think if the Broncos get a big lead against the Jets, they're gonna resort to running, and Sutton's done for the day. They picked up a bunch of running backs, man. They picked up like 3 of them, I believe. If you can make that happen, I think I would do it if you're that hurting. All right, let's do another comparison. Let me pull up the chart for you, Eddie. Let's see here. Let's do a flex ranking here. Actually, let's see. Let's go based on points. All right, so let's do a flex ranking. So you said Lamb for Waller. There's Lamb. There's Waller. That's a fair trade. I mean, I don't know if they're going to – he's probably going to ask for more. Because I think there's only one tight end in fantasy that Waller has a disadvantage against. He has an advantage against every tight end he goes up against every week, other than Travis Kelce. So I would do it. If you're that hurting on the tight end spot and you like your wide receiver situation, you gotta – it's a situation of strength. So I would do it to create a situation of strength at the tight end position. No. And is that a better situation for Zeke? Because Baltimore's been doing a committee, and I don't think that's going to change even if Zeke was there, to be honest with you. Like, I'm just trying to keep it a buck. Like, I don't think that'll change. Like, if Zeke went to Baltimore, I still think they'll have a committee. I thought Mitchell was hurt. I thought Mitchell was hurt. If he's got a bump shoulder, you think they're going to give him all the work? He falls that shoulder wrong, he done. Should you be concerned about Allen Robinson? No, I don't think you should be. Is it that ugly? Let me pull up Allen Robinson because I don't know. Oh, he ain't even on this first page. Oh, that might be concerning. Hold on. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, he's kind of hurting, huh? I wouldn't be too worried about it. I mean, he's still averaging about 8 targets a game, so I'm not panicking over it yet. It looked bad. How bad was it? Yeah, he only got 4 targets last week. But he got 11 the first week. Luckily, he got the TD. There's no reason to be worried yet because he's the number 1 guy in Chicago. He'll get his. I'm not panicking over Allen Robinson. It just doesn't look good yet. Waller didn't get 20 targets this week, I don't think. Robbie Anderson, Ruggs, or Juju. I like Ruggs a lot, but I think I'm going to pick Robbie here, even though I don't think Robbie's going to have a good day this week. And it's not because I don't think he's good. I'm just worried about. I think game script is going to cost Robbie this week. So that's why I'm worried about Robbie. Game script's going to kill Robbie. But and then Big Ben, man, if Haskins starts, Juju's a pickle. I wouldn't touch Juju with a 10-foot pole. Now, who do the Raiders play this week? Raiders play the Dolphins. Dolphins got a respectable defense. They didn't show it last week. I think I might still go with Robbie. None of them are good situations. I will say that. None of them are good situations. Because Robbie's issue is the fact that game script's gonna ruin it for him. He ain't getting as much targets as he need to. I mean, I could argue DJ Moore might have some challenges too. But out of them three, I would do Robbie, but none of them are really startable in the grand scheme of things. If you want to keep it a buck. They're both bad. None of them are really startable. If maybe you got a better run back you can play. Hopefully none of these guys are wide receiver twos for you. Because I think all three of these guys are like wide receiver fours or borderline flex. Like bottom of the barrel wide receiver 3/flex. They signed some backs. They were talking like he might not play. You should be concerned, but I mean, I would just downgrade him. I think he's more of a flex play than an RB2 at this point. Bengals defense, pass defense hasn't been too bad so far, man. You might have to start thinking about starting Marvin because he's been playing pretty well. Marvin Jones is a wide receiver too. Man. I mean, I'm taking Amari Cooper over that. Oh, I forgot about that. Deontay did get hurt. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. Give me Juju. Sorry about that. Yeah, give me Juju. But I still don't. Dude, man, Big Ben, man, Big Ben's cooked.
My planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low, but the outsiders ravage.
Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why that's happening. I definitely had that on mute. But I was expecting to land for Waller because he understands what advantages look like. I think you need to go to the wire and try to get another tight end. Deebo Samuel. All right. I need to step out for like 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. This is what happens. You got kids upstairs. Dave quit. No, I didn't quit. I said I'll be right back. I can't quit, man. I got a show in 30. I got a show at 7:30, baby. We got Texas Unfiltered coming with us to talk about the game today. All right. Nobody's taking that. If somebody takes that, I'll be impressed. Depends on what your need is. Like, I mean, if you're trying to build something and you still have faith in Allen Robinson, then trade Cooper and upgrade what you need. But don't just trade just to trade. Like, I always say that, and people be looking at me like I'm crazy. I don't trade just to trade. I trade with the purpose. Like, for example, I'm considering trading for Panthers defense. What do you think I can give? What do you think I have to give up to get Panthers defense? You know what I'm saying? So, like, don't just trade just to trade. Trade with the purpose. Like, sometimes it's not about trading just to trade. Like, I think a lot of folks just trade just to trade. And it's funny because people like to trade right after the draft is over. And I'm like, you just drafted your guys. You already ain't got faith in your guys? I got to step out one more time. My apologies, guys. I got a lot of things going on upstairs. It's been a crazy day, to say the least, with the kids. So, like I was saying about that, Brad, if you want to trade them, it's about trying to trade with the event. Like, trade with strength. Don't just trade just to trade, man. Like, I think a lot of folks tend to do that, and it typically doesn't really work out in the end. All right. Let me see here. I got a lot more questions I gotta zoom through. Flex, Chase, Smith, Shepard. Give me Chase. But it's close between him and Shepard. I don't think I want to touch Smith, but give me Chase. Juju over Claypool. Dude, pay attention to what's going on in Pittsburgh with the quarterback situation. It doesn't sound like Ben's going to play this week. I would probably opt to stay away from all of them. I mean, I think I would probably prefer Claypool over Juju, though. But I would probably opt to stay away from all of them, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think I have any interest in dealing with any of them if I can. But if you have to, then, yeah, I don't think I want to touch any of them. These ain't the same guys as last year. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do next time. I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to walk away. All right. Yo, man, I don't know how much noise you guys can hear, but I heard a lot of chaos upstairs. So I had to make sure everything was good to go up there. Rodgers versus Niners or Sam Darnold? Rodgers. That ain't you. Just because Rodgers got a tough matchup this week doesn't mean I'm going to change my mind. Like, you got to play your guys. Like, I know there's a reason to be very enthusiastic about Darnold. I get all that, but you can't play Rodgers over Darnold. You can't. Because what if McCaffrey runs the Texans out of the dang on room on Thursday and Darnold doesn't have to throw the ball, and then Darnold doesn't get you anything? So give me Rodgers there. One for two ain't a bad gig, man. I mean, I'm 2-0 in out of the 7 leagues that I'm in. I'm 2-0 in 3 of them, 1-1 in the other 3, and I'm 0-2 in 1 of them. So, I mean, you win in some, you lose some. Sometimes the breaks happen. I absolutely agree there because I think Pollard's going to be there, bro. He ain't going away with Zeke there. It's going to be a timeshare off season, it looks like. They are. I have a very energetic 6-year-old. Love him to death. I'm a simple guy. I mean, I always tell this story. I guess I should tell it in this episode this week. There was a season where I started like 1-5, 1-6. It was bad. And the thing is, I had a really good team. I had Adrian Peterson, Josh Gordon when he had that crazy season, Antonio Brown. I had Jimmy Mo before everybody knew who Jimmy Graham was. I had Jimmy Graham. I had a squad. All right. I had a squad. But I had a slow start. I kept running into the top scorer every week. And once I hit like 1-5, 1-6, I tried to do a fire sale of my team. And the thing is with me, I always want to trade either fair or with strength. And what was happening is that the trades that I was receiving was so low bally. Like, they were super low ball trades. And so at that point, I made the executive decision. Like, it was every single trade I got, there was none of them. Like, none of them were even fair. You know what I'm saying? I expected to get, folks were going to lowball me, but it was getting ridiculous. So because their thing was, you're 1-6. You can't make the playoffs. So just give me the players to help you so I can make the playoffs. And I said, you know what? Screw all you guys. I'm going to make the playoffs with the squad. And I did. And they were scared. And if Antonio Brown didn't step out of bounds in the first week of the playoffs, I probably would have won the chip. But, those are the breaks. But my point is, 0-2 ain't enough to give up. You can still win a championship. One of the leagues that I was in with the retired Rashad, I started 0-2, and the whole league laughed at me, and I won the championship. So you can start 0-2 and still win it all. There's no reason to panic here. This ain't the NFL. It's fantasy, but it ain't like the actual NFL where 0-2 is a wrap for you. But from the standpoint of fantasy, 0-2 ain't a death wish. There's no reason to panic yet. Because the reason why I draft the way that I draft is because I try to have a high floor team. You know what I'm saying? So I try to build my team as a high floor squad. Because if I consistently get a certain amount of points every week, I'm gonna likely win more than I lose. I will win more than I lose. I will be in the money more than I'm not. Like, that's the goal of the thing. You want to win them, but you want to actually win. You want to actually don't lose any money either for the folks that are in money leagues. So you want to have high floor teams. And the advantage of having high floor teams and you build your team right is that when these bye weeks start coming, you ain't panicking. Like them folks to be out here taking these quarterbacks in the first round, these folks be out here taking these tight ends super early and not thinking about the running back position. Like if you take Kelsey and Waller, I get it. But if you're taking some of these other folks too high, if you out here taking these quarterbacks that ain't getting the value back too high, your depth is getting punished. So when it's bye week time and you out here and you ain't got Alvin from Kamara this week, and I got all these other guys, and you ain't got nobody to put there, you ain't going to be competitive during the bye week season. The bye week season starts in a couple weeks. After what happened to me in Underdog Fantasy, bro, I'm retired from DFS. I have officially retired. I am no longer going to be playing DFS anymore. I will help you guys with DFS still, but I'm not playing anymore because I think I'm better at the Underdog Fantasy stuff. We did not. That's great, man. Keep it up. Keep it up, man. When you're at the top, you have to act as such. I would take DJ over Allen Robinson. Yes. Bro, if it's a 16-game season, 0-2 is not a death sentence. Never give up in these streets. So let's look at the PNP League real quick. Hold on. Since it was asked for by the people. And I have a couple more minutes before we close this thing out. Let's see here. I think that squad, my squad is death certificate. Speaking of death certificate, well, speaking of hip hop, we'll close out the show on hip hop. Let's look at the standings, shall we? We have 3 2-0 teams in these streets. Who is way too sexy? I don't know who this is. Oh, that's Eddie. All right. Way too sexy. And then way too sexy for this league. And then I'm just depth certificate, man. I'm just depth certificate. So there's 3 2-0 teams. Top 6 get in to the playoffs. A couple 1-on-1s, a couple 0-2s. Oh, that's why Pat said he wanted to retire from fantasy. Oh, poor Pat. Oh, it's all right, Pat. It'll be okay. It'll be okay, man. It'll be okay. All right. Let's look at what these opponents are looking like next week. Ooh. I don't know who's 11th place, but it's going to be bad for you, buddy. Even though he does have Derrick Henry, so he's got a chance. He's going to always be in with Derrick Henry. I'm waiting for Josh Allen. So, by the way, guys, did you notice? I have Josh Allen. He hasn't been good. I'm still 2-0. Who has the best 2-0 team? Let me see. Let's start with you, Eddie. Kyler, Diggs, Robinson, Harris, Jones. Not pretty good. Lockett on your flex. I would argue Lockett should be your wide receiver 2 here. But I understand. But for this week, keeping him in the flex makes sense because he plays at 4:00. So that makes sense. Gives you some level of flexibility if you need to swap out. Cooks. So you got Cooks. Your bitch. Bye week. I'm gonna be savoring your bye weeks. I'll tell you that. You're still waiting on Trey Lance. We'll see how that goes. All right. And then we got who's next. All right. Who's next? Go. And I know this is Slim Squad. You got Russ, Adams, Waller, running backs, Montgomery. All right, your bench. You got Henderson on the bench. You probably should be starting Henderson, bro. Even though I could understand why you made the decision not to this week, but Henderson's ranked number 3 in fantasy right now. He's number 9. You got Montgomery, who's 16, and you got Edmonds, who is 19. And then you got Mitchell, who's 25. So you need to be starting this guy. You need to be starting him too. Well, you probably will be because I don't think Deontay Johnson's going to play this week. It kind of sucks how he got hurt. All right. So you got a pretty good squad, Slim. And then my team. If Josh, so I'm 2-0, and I won last week with Josh Allen not doing too hot. I won last week with Josh Allen and Alvin Kamara not doing too hot. And I had to play Kenyon Drake because Josh Jacobs was out. No, I didn't have Josh Jacobs. Well, I had to play him because I didn't have no other option running back. My running back situation is rough. But I mean, over time I might be able to fix that, but we'll see. I've been making it work all this time, so I'm gonna keep plugging away. But I'll make it happen. I like my wide receivers. I just need AJ Brown to figure this out. But McLaurin and Thielen is balling. And Alvin Kamara is going to be Alvin Kamara after Carolina, right? So we'll see. I mean, it's tight end. I'm worried about tight end a bit, but I'll get through it. I mean, overall, my squad's okay. Could be better. Out of the three, I'm thinking maybe Slim might have the best squad. But because of Kyler's going to keep Eddie always in it. Dude, I don't panic, man. That's how I win. I don't panic. I won because Tanya came through last night. But the funny thing is, because Tanya he overcame through. I only needed like 7 or 8 points from him, and he got more than that. And because he got more than that, I was going up against a Tanya in another close game, and I ended up losing that one by a point. So I gave one to give one, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I can show you that league where that happened. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Let's see. So I lost by less than a point, man. So brutal. But I was happy that I beat Noli. But I lost this. And this is my money league, so I was kind of hurt, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah. And I was projected to win that game by like 12 points. I ended up losing by a point, you know. Tannehill's been underperforming too. Tannehill's been a problem. I love my wide receivers here, and I like my tight end. Running backs, I'm concerned. I got a decent bench. If I would have played Tyson, I would have won, but it's okay. Or would I have won? I don't know. Let me check. I don't know. Would I have won? Oh, yeah, I would have won, but it would have been like decimals, like literally by a tenth of a point. That's how slim of a margin it can be. But it is what it is, man. There's always next week. And this actually might help me in my waiver because the standings, I think I'm in 8th because of points. There's only 2 undefeated teams. But it's a long season. And this is the first year we did 12 teams in the league. But it's a long season. But I got to get my points up. My points ain't where I would like it to be. I'm not scoring enough points in this league. I got to fix that because the tiebreakers are going to be based on points. So I got to get up in the point range. I gotta be at least top 6 in points to beat off the tiebreakers. So I gotta step that up. And I've had the easiest schedule. Did I have the easy? Yeah, I've had the easiest schedule in the league. So me being 1-1 is unacceptable right now. But we'll see what happens next week. The only positive thing that's come out of this is that my waiver wire is going to be higher than most of these guys, so I can go and get it in. But we'll see. Allen Jones, Najee, Devontae Cooks, Hawkinson. Pretty good squad. I mean, I'll get at about an A. Curious to see what your bench looks like. But a starter, get at an A. I thought Drake was going to get more to work with Jacobs out. I wasn't buying the Peyton Barber mess. I mean, he still got 10.5 points. I think I don't blame the loss on Drake more than I blame the loss on Tannehill. Tannehill has been underperforming for me. I don't think I blame it on Drake because my running back 2 situation is a mess. So I'm not blaming it on Drake. I wanted 10 points. I got 10 points from my RB2. It's just I think I wanted more from Tannehill. Tannehill's not playing as well as I would like him to. And you're talking a delta of 0.8. The game, even with that, the game shouldn't have got close. A lot of my players underperformed that day. Miles Sanders over Juju. I mean, I want a matchup starting Kyle Allen and Alvin Kamara. So anything can happen, guys. Yeah, you caught the wave when you need to catch the wave, bro. Trade my Matthew Stafford and trade my Jalen Hurts and David Montgomery for his Matthew Stafford and Saquon Barkley. I have Mahomes as my other QB, and I have CMZ, Zeke, Tyson as my. Yeah, I mean, you must be in a 16 league with all them damn players. I'll tell you that right now. I would absolutely trade. I would do that trade. Although, I mean, the ability to have Barkley at the flex is a beautiful thing. I would do that trade. The fact that you have Mahomes as your QB is a no-brainer for me. I don't think he's going to take it, but he might. He might because of Barkley. Barkley played. Oh, I didn't even talk about Barkley. Barkley paid 80% of the snaps last Thursday, so he's in essence back. He just got to he's pretty much getting the bulk of the work. So I think over time Barkley's going to be the more valuable pick out of everybody that's on that list that's on that trade line. Bro, Barkley has number one in a running back in the league potential. So David Montgomery does not have number one in a running back in the league potential. So if you're talking about upside, I mean Barkley over Montgomery. Yeah, he had a short week and Barkley had a short week and he still played 80% of the snaps. Oh God, you know what's funny? That's a tough one, man, because I think we're gonna shut Cooks down. But I would have to say, Jesus, man. I would have to say Cooks, but it's close. But neither, I think both of these folks are wide receiver threes this week. Yeah, you're in a good spot. Yeah, the A stays. You got a strong bench. I'm not telling you not to stick with Montgomery. I'm telling you, based on that trade, I'd rather have the Matt Stafford and Barkley in. Only because Montgomery's about to have a timeshare once Terry Cohen comes back. So, you're going to have all these folks eating into that guy's work. I mean, you're going to have to bank on injuries. People forget, the reason why Montgomery went off the way that he did at the end of the season last year is because of the injuries. And if Justin Fields gets that job, Justin Fields is going to take care from this man. You got to think about the whole picture, bro. We've already seen Saquon Barkley succeed with Daniel Jones as a quarterback. Justin Fields is going to be out there running. He's going to vulture touchdowns. It's not good. I'm looking at the tight ends that you just posted, Eddie. Out of the ones there, I think I'll take either Doyle or Knox. None of them are good options, though. Out of those are it. Most of those guys are TD dependent. Knox is probably I don't have the target share numbers in front of me, but I would just take the guy that's getting the most targets over the first 2 weeks. Don't worry about the TDs. Worry about the targets. Targets turns into receptions, which turns into TDs. Russ. These are good problems to have, by the way. These are excellent problems to have. But if you're going to ask me, give me Russ. I'm pretty sure Russ got a better matchup than the 49ers. Well, we know. Well, I mean, anybody can get hurt. You know, I think Barkley, if you're telling me Barkley has running back 1 upside. Like, he has RB1 upside. Number 1 running back in fantasy upside. So, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. I mean, it is what it is. I can't control the injury game. Julio over Marvin Jones Jr. because of the quarterback situation. I'm not ready to lay down on Tannehill yet. He's just scaring the crap out of me right now. All right, man. I'm about to call it a day. In about 24 minutes, me and Rashad are going to go live with Texas Unfiltered and talk about this game. This Thursday nighter. You know, we're going to have some fun. So with that in mind, appreciate the support. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow us on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, the whole 9. My personal Twitter handle's right here if you have more fantasy questions. Join the Discord, become a patron. We got a lot of great stuff coming down the pipe. But I will see you guys in about 24 minutes with Rashad and Texas Unfiltered. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good evening. And always remember, keep pounding.